I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 7th, 2025 Roanoke Town Council meeting. I call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. here. Any objections? Next up on the agenda is the September 2nd, 2025 Town Council meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve. So moved. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, next up is the September 22nd, 2025 executive session meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve those as written.
So moved.
Second? Me. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next up on the agenda is the Baker Tilly Financial Consultants discussing the wastewater updated rate study. And I believe we have Jeff on the phone from Baker Tilly.
Yeah, good evening, this is Jeff. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening. I appreciate you accommodating me participating by phone here. So, yeah, we just wanted to provide kind of an update. I know met with Sarah there to kind of provide her an update here just a while back on some sort of new developments with SRF. So just kind of wanted to share that and then kind of share what the updates in terms of rate impact might be. So just as a sort of a recap here, up to this point, we've been really trying to pursue SRF. The town's applied for funding and was scored and ranked. Unfortunately, and we scored and ranked pretty far down the list. It was actually scored and ranked as 70th on the list out of, I think there was about 85 that were actually scored and ranked. So the top 10, about approximately the top 10 or so were awarded funding within the programs, what they call the traditional funding programs. So there's a couple different programs within SRF. And what we were originally hoping for is to get in the traditional funding, which we didn't. That was about the top 10. Like I said, that's sort of the lowest subsidized interest rate program that SRF provides or offers. The kind of the second option within SRF program is what they call their pooled program. So typically every fall and spring, SRF issues what they call a pool bond issue. And so they invite a select few communities that didn't fall within their fundable range, meaning their traditional program, and they offer funding through their fall pool program. And what the pool program is the state issues a large kind of lump sum bond issue, and they select a handful of communities to participate in that bond issue. And so they would get the same interest rate that the state would get given its AAA bond rating. So the interest rate under the pool program is not quite as attractive as the traditional program, but it gives communities opportunity to still access funding. Fast forward to where we are now, the SRF has received so much requests, I guess you could say, for funding through their pool program. So there's a lot of projects out there that didn't get selected for traditional funding. And so now you have a lot more communities requesting funding for their projects through the pool program. And they, based on information or feedback from SRF, is for this current fall pool program, which we were not anticipating, being ready for anyway, but they are oversubscribed, meaning there's more communities that are wanting to be part of the pool program than they have ability to fund at this point. So we also talked to them about, well, what about spring? Because based on, timing of design of the project, I know we were town was anticipating maybe going to bid and securing funding, maybe late spring of next year. And the answer we got wasn't super encouraging in terms of our chances of getting funded. And basically that's because, again, there are so many communities that are asking for funding, and SRF at this point is really just kind of going down through their project priority list, and they're selecting communities based on where they were scored and ranked. And so since we're so far down the list at this point, they just couldn't guarantee us that we would have the funding would be available in the spring, kind of like we had originally hoped or anticipated. So that still may change. We don't know for sure, but what we wanted to do is have a backup plan, really just in case. And there are not a lot of other funding alternatives out there, but there is another funding program that's through the Rural Water Funding Agency, and that program really originates out of the state of Kentucky, but it's not just for Kentucky projects. It's really open to any borrowers, whether you're in Indiana, Kentucky, or other states. So a couple things about that program is it's not federal money, it's not state money. Rural Water has a kind of a partnership with Raymond James, who's an underwriter, and so they sort of established this program to help kind of more rural communities access funding that they couldn't otherwise get on their own. And so one of the advantages of the Rural Water Program is, if we were to participate in their program, and by the way, it's not a competitive program, so if we need the funding, it's pretty much a shoo-in that you can get the funding. It's just a matter of going through the process. But their bonds, when they go out to issue bonds, they would get it's like a AA rated rate, which is again not quite as good as the state, the AAA rated SRF pool program, but it's still more competitive and a better interest rate than the town could get if we were to just go out on our own and sell bonds on our own based on the town's credit. So it's still it's a competitive rate, again, not quite as good as SRF, but still competitive and better than what we could get on our own. A couple other things about the program is we could go, in terms of the length of the loan, or the bond, I should say, we can go as long as 30 years without really having any restrictions. So that's actually a positive here. I think that we're able to stretch this loan out further than what we would likely get through SRF, which is probably something closer to 20 years. We may be able to stretch that to 25 or 30, but we may, since this involves the treatment plant, we really can't go beyond the useful life of the new treatment plant when we're structuring the term of the loan. So, maybe a slight advantage there over SRF program. We can't take this all the way out to 30 years. I guess I'll call this a negative. I don't know if it's a negative. I guess it is because it would be adding cost to the project, but in order to participate through the Rural Water Program, there are some additional program costs. So they charge 1.6% of the par amount of the bonds that goes towards covering their program costs, and then they also charge an underwriter's discount, which would be the Raymond James piece of the transaction, who's the underwriter. They would charge a 1.5% underwriter's discount. So it would be, if you total those together, it would be adding another $500,000 or so to the overall project cost. So back last time we met, when we ran numbers looking at SRF scenario is about 18.7 million, total project. Under the RWFA, we'd be looking at something closer to about 19.2, 19.3, when you add in those fees. So a little bit higher in terms of fees, but again, not a competitive process, which would be good for us. I think another advantage is we would have more flexibility in terms of timing. So rural water, we can close on a rural water loan. Well, let me say it this way, they do closings, I would say once every few months or once every couple months. So we're not tied to, sort of a spring or fall pool like we would be under SRF. We have more flexibility in terms of, scheduling bond closing around the time that we're actually opening bids, which, like I said, is anticipated to be sometime late spring. So a little more flexibility in terms of timing, a little bit higher cost, a little bit higher interest rate. Although there would be, I guess, one positive here is, since these dollars are not state dollars or federal dollars, you don't have some of the same hoops and requirements that you would have under those other programs, meaning like BABA, prevailing wage, some of those other requirements. Now, that's not to say that, your contractor may still pay prevailing wage, but there wouldn't be any Buy American, Build American requirements associated with this program. So, that could potentially help save a little bit on construction costs, perhaps. So if you kind of take all that into consideration, a 30-year loan under the rural water program, slightly higher project, we'd be looking at about a 10% increase in rates over the 35-year loan increase that we showed last time. So to put that in terms of total bill, if we're assuming a 2,000 gallon bill, which I think is your minimum, under the rural water program, we'd be looking at a monthly bill of about $126. And if we're looking at a 4,000 gallon bill, we'd be looking at a bill of about $142, $143 per month. So it's about 111% increase if we're to look at it in terms of percentages. If we go back to the SRF program again, we sort of bookended our analysis last time, looking at, either a 20-year loan or a 35-year loan. And if it was the 20-year loan option that we had to go with under SRF, then we would be looking at a 137% increase. If it was the if we were able to stretch that out to 35 years, it would be closer to 101% increase. So we're still within the same sort of range in terms of rates that we were looking at under SRF, under the SRF program. So that's kind of where we're at. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you here verbally, and I know I don't have I don't know if you have the report in front of you. You may, or copies of the report, but I'll just kind of pause there and wait for any questions or thoughts that you have.
So Jeff, just to clarify, in the numbers that you gave us, the fees that you're talking about for the rural water, those fees are included in the documents that you sent us, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and then.
Yeah, so that would be on page 4 of the document that we had sent over. So it's the far right column that says RWFA 30-year loan. That would be the rural water scenario.
So if we were making a decision to move forward and we wanted to phase this in, rather than all at once, do you know what we need a timeline so we can walk back and know when we need to pass our ordinances, if we're moving forward with the 30-year?
Yeah, so, yeah, we could certainly look at phasing. Again, I think the expectation is that, we would be looking to, and we talked with, I don't know if Anthony is there, or
He's
not.
not.
Okay, so, we had talked with Anthony too, and as we were talking through timing, his thought was, they would be in a position to have design completed and actually bid the project by, late spring next year, potentially early summer. And so whenever we close on the bonds, that's when we would have to have the rates adopted. But that said, we could certainly start now and, look at phasing at least a portion of that increase in between now and then. And then we can also look at, once we close it, all the rates don't have to be in effect, but we have to have them adopted. So what we could also look at is, can we do a phase or two after we close so that we're not having to go, directly to the 111% out of the gate. So, long answer there, but the short of it is, yes, I think we can phase. But we may wanna consider getting started now versus, waiting until, we get closer to
So
bidding,
Jeff,
that sort of thing.
I think we're looking at, if we started the first increase starting effective January, we need a timeline to walk us back to what needs to be done between now and end of December to make that in effect.
Sure, yeah, we can do that. We can put together a timeline that kind of lays that out. And then we'll also be looking at, a couple things, we can talk through this some more, obviously, but, we can do one increase effective January, and then wait, and then do maybe a phase 2 or phase 3 once we get bids in hand. Or we can try to fit in another increase, I don't know, say March or something like that, but then you're sort of, it's in such a short, tight time frame. I don't know if that's something the council would want to consider.
I think it's more of a January, July.
January, July, okay, yeah, so we could adopt one now that would go into effect January, and then we could have, once we have bids in hand, then we'll have another phase that goes into effect at that point, so that would be right around, maybe June timeframe or so. And then we could also look at maybe doing a third phase after that goes into effect, say, 6 months after that, so that, when we get to June, we're not having to take on the full increase, but maybe we can spread it out over 2 increases, if that makes sense.
I think that's the more palatable option.
So would these numbers then change, Jeff, if somewhere between now and then we are awarded a grant of some type, once we finalize this, we're locked in?
No, you're not locked into anything until we actually close on the bonds, which would be after we bid. So absolutely, if you're able to get some sort of grant, that we could, help buy down this loan, then yes, these numbers would certainly change. On the flip side, and I hope this isn't the case, but once we bid the project, if the bid comes in higher, then our numbers may be higher, but if it comes in lower, then our numbers can certainly be a little bit lower. So still a lot up in the air, the bids probably being the biggest factor there. But yeah, certainly if you were able to get grant money, then that would help change these numbers.
And it also then lower the program cost and underwriter discounts and stuff as well then, is that a fair statement as well?
Correct,
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you need from us, if anything, to move forward with preparing kind of the timeline to do the January, June, July, December rate increases?
Yep, so in terms of timing, remind me what your council meetings are here. Are they still, is it once a month or twice a month?
It's once a month, but we generally will have 2 meetings in December.
Okay. And was this a special meeting or was this your normally scheduled meeting?
Normally scheduled meeting,
Okay, so it's the, what am I looking at, the first
Tuesday.
First Tuesday of every month?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and then in December, what would your two meetings be in December in case we need them?
we typically would do the first and third Tuesday of December.
Okay, so 9th and 13th, it looks like.
No, the first and
No,
third.
no,
So it'd be like
sorry,
the
second, 16th.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. Okay, I think that's all we'll need, other than, you know, when we're, and I don't know if you want us to work on the ordinance, either way, we'll need to, provide the rates to, you know, if your local attorney is gonna prepare the ordinance, that's fine, but we will need to know what percentage or dollar amount you wanna go with this January increase. So we will need to know that, obviously you don't have to make that decision tonight, but we will need to know that number. And then we'll, at the same time, kind of map out a timeline here in all the tasks that need to be accomplished in order to have that adopted and in effect by January. We'll send that over to you once we have that prepared.
So if we would make a decision by the November meeting, then does that give you enough time for the December?
Yeah, if we would be looking at adoption in December, we could certainly do that. If you were able to make a decision before then, you know, we could, introduce at your November meeting, because we'll need it, the first step will be introduction of the ordinance, so we'll need to know the increase that you want to go with, so that we can have an ordinance prepared, and then introduce it at your November meeting.
Do we need a
And then
motion
once
for
it's
the percentage?
introduced, we could hold a public hearing at your December meeting and adopt it after the public hearing is held.
Do you need a motion for the percentage?
Probably wouldn't hurt, yeah. I mean, ultimately, you're not making a decision tonight, we just need some sort of, I guess, consensus, for lack of a better word, on what percentage you wanna go with, and then, you know, the council action will be taken at your November meeting when we introduce the rate ordinance.
You're lower than I am.
My recommendation for us to consider tonight is that we go with a 34% increase for January and then see where things shake out, because then there's 2 more phases.
And
So
also-
it ended up being a 33 instead of a half.
And just so I'm clear on this too, Jeff's numbers he's throwing out are the $1 million gallon plant, right? Because he's still like the $20 million project, and I think we're looking considerably less.
I think whatever,
It's locking with adjusted numbers.
Yeah.
this is the number. With all the fees and everything, it comes up, that's what it comes out to. So my recommendation personally is the 34%. I don't know how you guys feel.
It makes sense.
I'll second that, my number was higher, so.
Do you want to do all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
34%, Jeff.
34, I got it, okay. Well, that's helpful, I appreciate that, so we'll go ahead and get the rates calculated, and, honestly, I don't remember if we prepared the ordinance, the last adjustment ordinance, or if you had your local attorney.
I thought Ice Miller was involved in that as well, for some reason, so I'll have to look at it and see.
Okay, yep, and we can check our files too, but I guess whoever prepared it, it's probably best just to have them prepare it again, so, if you're okay with that, that way we don't have to
Yeah, that's fine.
reinvent the wheel, okay? All right, well, we'll get on that, we'll start, moving forward with that ordinance, and we'll put together a timeline for the adoption, that gets this adopted then in December and effective in January, 34%.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, you're welcome, thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
At this time, I'm going to close the regular scheduled meeting and open up the adoption hearing meeting for the 2026 budget, which is ordinance 2025-05. Everybody got that?
You had a public hearing already, so this is just the adoption.
The adoption of it, yes, we are in the public,
A
so.
motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Adoption has passed. All right, at this time, I will close the adoption hearing meeting and open the regularly scheduled meeting back up. And next on the agenda is citizen comments. I ask that you please limit it to 3 minutes. And when you get up, please state your name. Anyone want Rick?
3 minutes, huh?
3 minutes, Rick.
All right, Rick Fisher, rolling around. Wanted to kind of get the approval for the change of date for Rolling Roanoke, going from the end of July, from the last meeting. We talked about September 12th, and finding out that leap year pushes Labor Day every 344 years in deeper into September. So I want to make a correction that we follow the Fall Festival. So whatever the weekend after Fall Festival lands, we will be. So that makes it September 19th next year. And then our rain date would be the 26th of September. And then after that, it would revert back to being like the second Saturday of September, third Saturday as the rain date. So I wanted to make that clear on the record.
It's always the following Saturday after
Following
fall break
Saturday
is what you
Fall
prefer.
Yeah.
Fall festival.
Fall festival, what did I say, fall break?
Yes.
There you go.
The,
Fall festival.
Yeah, the August meeting, I got approval for the 12th, and we didn't realize it until Leanne Smith realized when she did an ad for next year's Fall Festival, that this kind of happened. None of us caught it, that the 12th is gonna be their weekend, because of leap year, pushing it Labor Day to the 7th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Rick Hartley, question regarding leaf pickup. Are we short of help? It's certainly not being handled the way it has been in the past.
So there's probably 95% of the leaves still on the trees. We've got other things to do. Later this week, they'll start getting curb lines. But I don't have 100 people on staff that they can be out
Do
every
you
day.
have
picking
all
up
you
leaves.
need to have on staff?
Yes, but they don't do it every day.
That's
They'll
all,
be out
that's all
later.
that matters to me is you've got the people and you'll get to it.
They'll be out later this week to start getting some curb lines.
I've looked at mine for an extended period of time and lo and behold, when I backed out of the garage tonight, it was gone. So it was a miracle. Now, one other thing, and this is a different subject. Sometimes we have kids that have no clue of what they're doing in life. Other times we have parents who have no clue of what they're doing in life. As I was coming north on Main Street about 2 weeks ago, at the speed limit of 30 miles an hour, First Street past the first entrance into Roanoke Village. Down that hill came 3 kids on razors. Parents clear up at the top of the hill. One of the razors, fortunately, without a child on it, because somebody convinced her to bail, that razor was under the front end of my car. That would have been a dead child.
Yeah.
But the parents are the fools in this thing. How anybody can think to let kids go down that steep of a hill on one of those things and not be under control, not have the kids under control. It's completely beyond me. That's what we face in this world today. Had I been doing the 40 or 50 that most people do going north on Main, that would have been a dead child. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Rick. Other citizen comments?
I do have one other one. Do I get a new,
You had a minute, you
do I
had
get a
1 minute
refresh
left.
on three things? Refresh? I brought this up a couple times, and I just made me think too again. We asked, about at, what is it, Fourth and Seminary, the three-way stop, about changing that to a four-way stop. And I know it's always been because of the winter time and you can't get up the hill. Today's cars are all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and very little snow. But whether you do it or not, still should we, in my opinion, look at maybe labeling that it is a three-way stop, because there is still a lot of new people coming to town, a lot of events. It's insane how many people do not understand it's not a four-way stop.
Or
They
just
don't know
a
what
sign
to
that
do
says
with it.
cross traffic does not stop.
Something,
Yeah.
something.
They don't know what to
Because
do with it.
it's not, the locals all knew it. Now there's so many more people coming to events or other things, nobody has a clue that they don't, you have to stop. And then there's been a lot of close calls, because I drive that a lot, that's my in and out, Seminary 400. The other one I see a lot, close calls, is where it splits on Main Street going to 24 or like the American Legion, that split. Again, they don't know who has the right of way.
That's just bad driving.
It's bad driving, there's a lot of
We
bad
can't
driving.
fix stupid.
But I didn't know if there was something there, again, a yield sign to oncoming traffic. I'm just throwing that out there, but this one on Fourth and Seminary is kind of the worst one.
Jim, do you have any
Consider-
input? Jim?
Well, I was getting it, confused because 8 has a cross-traffic sign on
Oh, it does?
And Fourth and Seminary has three-way stop beneath the stop sign.
Well,
Does it? Where's it at?
apparently I didn't notice that.
But they're usually
Yeah,
on the
it's-
stop sign that alerts you to what
Yeah.
kind of stop you're
You
at.
can't fix stupid, because I had an incident, almost got hit the other day by someone who didn't know what they were doing, so.
Well, if they're already labeled, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just.
What about the V there off the main, any
Well, you
input
have to
there?
stop it, 'cause if you're coming back from the American Legion.
You're going
it's
north
stop
on
sign.
Main.
You have the stop sign
It's the
there.
split choice
Locust
when you're
Drive
north
does
on
not
Main.
stop.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's,
but they're crossing a street.
Yeah,
it would be the same as waiting to turn left.
but it's, again, people just don't realize who has the right of way.
That intersection he's talking about is further down, there is no cross there, that's Locust.
Look,
No, but I mean, if you're in the right lane and you're gonna make it's a left turn,
Mm-hmm.
like you would any other street, you have to at least look.
I go on that street 2 or 3 times every day. It would, I think, a little extra signage, something there, if you evaluated what would be the appropriate signage, couldn't hurt. There are plenty of people that they don't know what to do there.
yeah. Main Street, it feels like straight going to the American Legion, not Locust, is Main Street, is the right of way, but it's not. But that makes you think it is, though, it visually makes you feel
The
it.
street markings don't say that.
At that
The street
intersection,
markings say it.
at that intersection, the signage would be so far to the right, and you're putting it up, people will still, they're not gonna look to the, it's 2 lanes.
I know
to the
what I
right.
do, yeah.
So my recommendation is we'll get Jim and
Just do
Aaron
better.
and us involved and see if there's anything, and then kind of get the feedback,
Yeah, if you wanna do any kind of analysis, but
so.
We've done this before in the past,
Okay.
to let you all know this. It's
oh, I
not
know,
the
you can't
first
just
time
go
it's
slap a
been-
sign
yeah.
up because you want to, there needs to be a reason.
Well, what I'm saying is other councils in the past, it's been brought up before, and again, the signage is just so far over to the right.
Is that a double yellow line right there, or is it just,
I don't think.
can you just look and see what we have, like, I'll drive
Trust
it to you,
us.
but just look and see the markings, cause if it's double yellow, you can't just cross.
We'll take a look at it and see if there's anything that can be done.
I know it's been brought up, it's just been, you're seeing more activity, and more new people that get confused, and you can see this, shaking of the fist at each other,
Well,
but, yeah. Eventually, something bad could happen.
And
hasn't yet.
anything that would change the flow, I mean, you guys would have to pass an ordinance.
sure. We'll take a look at it and see.
I went over my 3 minutes, I was.
Any other citizen comments?
It was St. Peter.
All right, Park Department, any updates, comments from the Park Department?
The telephone poles got delivered.
Okay,
Nice.
That's a two.
Okay, I can say one thing for the park department. They have received a one-time, legacy donation, from Ernie and Judy Nine, are their name, it's $10,000, it's going into their budget, but, they have a really robust 5-year plan, so I'm sure that this money will be used to, they have some great projects listed, and like I said, it's really robust, so this $10,000 will help.
And they've also set their calendar for next year, they'll begin meeting within January and then every other month after. So they'll be meeting here at Town Hall.
What's the schedule meeting?
Second Tuesday.
The second Tuesday of, starting in January, every other month, 6 o'clock.
Every other, second Tuesday. Did
And
you,
it'll be posted, just like our meetings.
I was gonna ask you after the meeting, but since it was brought up, is the, 50/50 grant, patronicity grant being looked into from our last meeting discussions?
I have not had a chance to look into it.
Okay, I know Dave has been
I'm not.
coordinating with Matt,
Is this
how's it
park
moving?
business?
It is.
Okay, your time's up.
Yeah, but it,
Do that.
related to this, that is an important
I'm
part that
trying
you
to-
point, that you brought up. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Ray.
No, you get it.
Couldn't-
Resist.
Alrighty, moving on, superintendent operations, updates, comments.
Yes, please.
Oh, I missed the police, sorry. Well, you and I already talked yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, next up is the police department, updates and comments.
Oh,
I have
this is
nothing.
what 3 months look like?
Alright, thanks,
That's what
Jim.
it looks like?
See, now Aaron, superintendent of operations, updates, comments.
So first thing I got, the community crossings grant for 2026. Last month you guys approved our financial commitment letter. As they're going through things, get ready to submit it this week, they had the mileage wrong. So the local match is going to go from 89,120 to 123,680. So looking for approval for that. So we're going from 1.38 miles of road to 1.86.
And we have that in the budget. I make a motion to approve the change.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed.
Lift station, they inlined the wet well 2 weeks ago. We're still in the standing still waiting for the control panel. The other thing I got, I'd like with your guys' permission to approach Rockmuir about extending the water main on 24 from Dollar General down to Little Saloon. So right now it just crosses from the Geiger complex to Dollar General and stops. So nobody over there, no restaurants have any town water requirements.
So are you looking for an engineer's assessment or actual design?
Engineer's assessment.
I'll make a motion to approve Aaron pursuing Lockmuir for engineering assessment for the water main extension.
I'd second that.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
And I don't have anything else.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Tanisha Weigel.
Just as an informational purposes, after our last meeting, conversations with Lockmuir and others, I've scheduled a meeting for Friday, with Lockmuir, Commissioner Tom Wall, Senator Andy Zay, and the RDA to discuss the READY grant and see if we can push forward, even though we've kind of been removed from the list, to get added to the list in some form, dollar amount, to help with our wastewater treatment plant, just as an FYI.
All right. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, Councilwoman Terry Edmiston.
Listen.
Councilman Brian Humphries.
A couple of things. I sent all of you the quarterly reports from the fire department. I only had time to briefly look at this today, but it seems like they're getting thinner and thinner. So I think we need to talk to the fire department, probably when we do our contract, and specify what we really like to see in those reports. I don't know if they're just kind of playing loose because we didn't give specific guidelines, but that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, it looks like what
We're
they gave
getting
us
less
was just the
information.
generalized QuickBooks reports is what they did.
Right, but I felt like 3 months ago, or last quarter and the quarter before that, we were getting better reports.
We were getting listings of what they paid and to who, that type of thing, which I did not see this time
Yeah,
around.
so I feel like when we do our contract for next year, we need to address that.
We can still ask for it if you
Yeah.
want it.
I don't think it's inappropriate to even ask now,
Yeah.
saying, hey, we need a transactional listing as well.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we just have the summary numbers, which doesn't really say anything to us.
No, they don't really help where the money came from
Yeah,
or where it
correct,
went.
correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then my other thing, I had a conversation with a resident and, I think we're gonna have some discussion about it. I'm not sure. Mandy and I have talked before, we don't really wanna be an HOA and tell people in town what to do with the properties necessarily. But there are a few properties that have derelict cars sitting in front yards or on the side yard. And, we, according to Jim, I believe, this is hearsay, we do not have an ordinance that specifically addresses that. So if that's something we'd like to address, we would have to put an ordinance together.
If the car's legally plated, there's, as of right now, we have nothing we can do.
Whether it runs or not, right?
Well, whether it runs or not, unless we can see that it doesn't have a transmission or motor.
Okay.
That is in the ordinance. If it doesn't have a transmission, doesn't have a motor, but if it's legally plated, there's nothing we can do about it.
Is that similar in similar towns, our size?
Yes, ma'am.
But if you had an ordinance that said you can't park a car in your front yard, then you would have a law, right?
We have an ordinance.
But we don't have anything that specifies in a driveway or front yard, it's just,
They
as
can't
long
park,
as it's legally plated and right.
as long as they're not parked on a sidewalk or something like that.
Exactly. They can't park on a sidewalk.
That's all I have.
And I have nothing at this time. Clerk Treasurer Sarah Melton.
The only thing that I have is the employee handbook quote. I received some information, regarding the handbook, certain things not being in there, examples of Americans with Disabilities Act and its amendments, military leave information, supposed to have full policy of the Family Medical Leave Act. There's just a lot of things like missing out of it. And so I'd like to recommend that, we actually have, I believe it's HR contact, but, it's $6,000 to have our employee handbook redone completely. And I would like a motion to approve to have that done, and I was thinking a third out of general, a third out of water, and a third out of sewer, just to split it up.
And because we don't have these things, we're out of compliance.
Correct.
Correct.
And then she gave us, I forwarded to you all the
Oh, yeah,
list of
there's a
all
lot.
the things that are
There
missing.
was a lot.
Yeah,
Well, anyhow, it would help clarify some other issues that we've already brought up ourselves.
yeah, and this was a topic at, one of the conferences that I was at, employee handbook, a lot of people struggling with where to go and who to use, and, so she just came very highly recommended. A lot of towns and cities in India use her, and so I reached out to her and she gave us the quote, so.
And then when this is done, each employee would receive a handbook and then they would sign that they've received the handbook.
Yeah, they would be required to sign off, yeah.
How long does it usually take her to update it?
She said that if I did get approval, that we could have it done within 6 to 8 weeks.
So it could be
But
ready
just
for
depends.
a December meeting.
She would, yes, she would, regardless of when it gets done, want to talk with and get feedback from the council, what you would like to see, either changes or added, or, she definitely would want to meet with you guys and go over that at some point.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of New Focus HR LLC to develop and redesign our employee handbook.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, any old business? All right, presentation of bills. I need a motion to accept the presentation of bills as displayed.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Sarah, do we need to do a motion on the allowance docket?
Nope, that's
Nope.
for you guys.
Okay. Alrighty, and then I make a motion to adjourn the October 7th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you all for attending.